Today we're going to talk about the bones. The human have 206 bones in their body, and the function of the bone, they form a sturdy framework for the entire body. They protect delicate structures such as the brain and the spinal cord. They work as levers with attached muscles to produce the movement. They store calcium salts and produce blood cells. We have two parts of bone. So the bone is divided. We have the axial skeleton, which include the head and the torso, and the appendicular skeleton, which include the bone of the extremities. We have a shape for the bone, such as the flat, which include the ribs and the cranium, and the short one, which include the carpals of the wrist, and the irregular, which include the facial bone. And the most common shape of the bone is long bone. So first, we're going to talk about the cranium and why do we need it. The cranium have 8 parts or 8 bones. First, we have the frontal bone and the tuberosity bone. We have a right one and a left one. And we have a temporal, we have a right one and a left one. And we have the sphenoid here. Oh, wait. This is the sphenoid. And it's look like a butterfly. And we have the ethmoid here. We also have occipital. And we also have bones which are like irregular, such as the facial bone, like a nasal bone, and the maxilla. And we can see that the maxilla form the upper part of the mouth. We have a left one and the right one. So now let's talk about the appendicular, which include the extremities. Okay, now we're going to talk about the hip. So what's the hip and what is the difference between the female hip and the male hip? First, we have 3 parts in the hip: the ilium, the sacrum, and the pubis here. So what is the difference between the female one and the male one? Okay, the female one is lighter than the male one, and it's also wider than the male one, and the pubic arch, the anterior angle between the pubic bone is wider, as I told you, and the pelvic inlet, the upper opening bordered by the pubic joint and the sacrum, is wider and more rounded. And the pelvic outlet, the lower opening bordered by the pubic joint and the coccyx, is larger, and the sacrum and the coccyx are shorter and less curved. So why the female one is wider and less curved than the male one? I'm going to tell you. The female pulse is adapted for pregnancy and childbirth. Some ways in which the female pulse differ from that of the male are. So here we can see that it is less curved. So the baby can pass without any harm or any pain. Okay, so we have a question. Is the bone a living organ? Yes, the bone are a living organ with their own system of blood vessels and nerve. Bone tissue, also known as osseous tissue, and it is the hardest form of the connective tissue.